Hello there, Chris Beardsley here of Wedding Industry Wisdom, and shortly joined by Jack Brister for our first ever scheduled live training. So this is something new for one and all, something new for us, and something new for you guys as well. So yeah, hopefully something that you're going to enjoy. Yeah, so Paul Fowler's watching. Hi there, Paul. How you doing? Just going to wait for Jack to join. Rachel. Hello, Rachel. I don't think we've had you on live before. Thanks for joining. So yeah, we're going to be talking today about booking in. You joined very quickly there. We had no.
Well,
Bit
what
of a
can I say?
bonus.
I would like to take responsibility for it, but
Sorry.
I'd like to take responsibility for it, but I didn't really have anything to do with it. I just sort of turned up.
Yeah. You rarely have anything to do with anything good. So
Well, that's just rude, isn't it, really?
it is pretty rude. Just unnecessarily mean, really. Yeah. So are you well?
I'm good. How are you?
Had a busy day. So
You have had a busy day, I know.
had a had an MRI this morning. About the third one I've had. I forgot how loud they are. Um, it's like someone setting off a nail gun next to your head for 15 minutes, like every second. Wouldn't advise it unless you
Yeah,
really need
but
it. Um,
hopefully they'll find out what's wrong with you. So
I'm just a bit rubbish, I think is the answer.
you're
There we
just
go.
broken.
Just a bit broken, really. So yeah. Anyway, we have people watching us. We're just chatting nonsense.
Should we get
So
on with this?
should we go on with this? Yes, we actually have live training today. So it's one of the few occasions on one of these lives where we've come in with an actual formula and plan and a schedule and everything else. So Jack, what are we talking about today?
We're talking about wedding fair booking incentives, what they are, how they work, how to use them, how not to use them, and all that kind of stuff, really.
Yeah, and there's been some very interesting opinions on the group, on the polls, in terms of whether people use them, whether people don't, levels of success that people have had with them. Um, yeah, should we just crack on straight into it?
Yeah, sounds like a plan to me. So do you want to kick off?
I will kick off. So, why should you have a booking incentive for wedding fairs? Well, there's three reasons behind this mainly that we think. The right incentive, and this is important, the right incentive will increase your chances of being booked, which can never be a bad thing. So that's obviously a very good reason to have something. Next, it maximizes your return on investment from the wedding fair. So let's say you're spending, £150, £200 to be attending that wedding fair. You want to be pulling in as much money back in from that as you possibly can. So I mean that does kind of align with the kind of the first point. But if you're there on the day and someone agrees to book you, then that's basically the wedding fare. Unless you're incredibly cheap, that is the wedding fare paid for there and then. Now, some people will be in a position to do that straight away, whereas others do like to take longer. But yeah, you're going to maximise your investment if you can do that. So, and it can be extended after the wedding fair as well. And this is quite a big thing that people don't take advantage of. Is that you say it's valid for the fair, or you could say, I like to say it's valid for a week after the. And Jack does it slightly differently. He'll tell you about that in a minute. But it also, if you extend it beyond the day of the wedding fair itself, it also then gives you an excuse to then follow up with them to say, just want to remind you of this, or this deal is about to expire, or a combination of both of those. And Jack, can you just let them know what you do? Not exactly,
Yeah.
but just in.
Yeah, so I run two incentives. I've got the incentive for if you book me on the day at the wedding fair, you get one incentive, and then if you book me after the wedding fair in that 7 day period, I run the same thing. It's a slightly less good incentive. It's still a good incentive. Less good. It's
That's good. Really?
it's what I'm rolling with it now. It's a bit late. I mean, I'm too deep in. So yeah, I've got two incentives running. It's because I obviously want them to book on the day because I want to take that get the instant return on investment. So I know they've booked me and I know I've paid for my fare and all that kind of stuff. And it just makes it a bit of a nicer day if I can get the booking on the day. But if they don't book on the day, hi James, nice to see you.
Hello.
Then there is that incentive for them to book in the next 7 days. Not quite as good as booking on the day, but obviously not everyone's in a position to be able to do that. So that second incentive is there as well, should people need the extra time to do whatever they need to do.
Yeah, and I think it's important to understand that different people operate at different speeds in terms of purchases. You have some people who just want to get stuff done, and you have other people who want to take a bit of time over it, or they're going to have take some, have to speak to someone else or something like that. And you get some people who, I've had people contact me a year after a wedding fair and say, I saw you at so and so wedding fair, I'm now ready to make a booking. And now all of them are fine, but I am the sort of person who likes fast acting people who just want to get stuff done, and I like to reward them for it because I'd like to get my diary filled up as early as I possibly can. Because why wouldn't you, essentially? So what are the disadvantages of an incentive?
So there's the feeling that if you get booked up on a date and then another inquiry comes in, there's that feeling of you're essentially reducing your profit margins for that one particular date.
Yep.
There's all those connotations around it feeling a bit like pressure selling, or that you're going for the hard sell and you're going for the close. You're trying to get the money out of their pockets ASAP, which is absolutely not what it is. So that's something we'll talk about as we go further through this training.
Hi, Ariane. Hope I'm
this
pronouncing
evening.
that correctly.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I was kind of avoiding saying it just in case I got it horribly wrong. But Ariane, we're going with it. If
We're going with
we are
Ariane.
horribly
I'm
wrong,
sorry if that
we
is incorrectly.
apologise.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's the connotations of pressure selling. There's that feeling of you're giving you're giving the wedding fair clients something extra for nothing, for just being there. And then it can also seem a bit desperate as well. So we got it right, yes.
No, I got it
So
right.
that
Then you
you got
copied
it right,
me.
okay.
You're not claiming
All
credit
right,
for that
okay.
one. I got it right.
It was my idea. I came up with it. So there's the connotations of desperation as well. So those are kind of the four main disadvantages around the concept of having incentive training, or incentive, sorry, all of which we're going to kind of overcome as we go through this training this evening.
So yeah, so Sarah's
Uh,
immediately said that's the reason we stopped offering lots of incentives. Now, we haven't actually covered the wedding fair, non-wedding fair clients thing in that much detail below. So I want to quickly cover that now, actually, just
yeah,
on the thoughts that I have on it. Now, you've got to think that you're paying to be at a wedding fair. So that is an extra cost outside of the normal running costs of your business. So if you pay for advertising in general and your SEO stuff in general and your general running costs, then a wedding fair is then a chunk of money on top of that. So, you want to maximize the return on investment, and not every single client who books me pays the same price, because people get married on different days of the week, different times of the year, they book different packages, and no one is going to know. They're never drastically different, but they are going to be different. There are going to be variations. But what I always say when I'm quoting to someone is that the price I'm giving them is the price performing in that location on that day, whatever, just so they know it's specific to
yeah.
them.
So before we come on to Sarah's point, I just because she's put a couple of comments in there, I want to say that my incentives are incentives that I offer all my clients. So the ones who book on the day and give me the money on the day get a slightly different incentive. They get slightly more, but the ones who book within the 7 days after the wedding fair get exactly the same incentives as the normal clients who come through my any other means will get the same incentives included in there if they book in the first 7 days. I think it is, I'm not entirely sure because I don't deal with my inquiries. But yeah, it's essentially that process is the same for both wedding fairs and non-wedding fair people. The only ones who get slightly better incentives are those who book on the day right there and then.
Yeah,
Do you want to take on?
yeah,
Yeah, go on.
it's the same for me. I run an incentive because I want people to book in as soon as possible. So I run the same incentive to book within a week for wedding fairs and for non-wedding fairs. So you can take the training that we're about to give you in the the further details of it and apply it across the whole business. It doesn't necessarily specifically have to be about wedding fairs, but that is what it's all about. Sarah says, the last wedding fair we did, we were 2 of 12 similar suppliers who didn't offer incentives, and we stood proud about. People were asking why we weren't offering a freebie or discount, and when we replied, they booked us at full price, which was harder than any of us. I like to incentivize, but how to do this without looking desperate or attract the price shoppers, that the clients we don't want. Right, well, that's exactly what we're going to be covering below, so keep watching it. Maybe it's different with photography. It's such a big investment of £2,000 plus that incentive can feel like a trap. Yeah, we are going to be covering.
Potentially, yeah, we're going to come on to that. It would be interesting to know what you do, Sarah. If you could drop us a little comment, let us know what you're.
I'm guessing she said maybe it's different with photography, so I'm guessing it's photography, but
potentially we'll find out in a minute.
I'm sure Sarah will respond.
Yes.
And Sophie Thomas is watching, so I feel like I need to mention dinosaurs just quickly. So this is a quick dinosaur mention just for you, Sophie.
Okay, photography, cool. Yeah. Okay.
I think there's some great incentives which you can offer as photographers, and I know some photographers who do some great incentives which don't feel like traps and don't feel like that. So we will get on to that. So our next point we want to mention is when to mention an incentive. Now, this is something I see. Well, less so now, but when I was doing the wrong fairs for me, I saw this far too much. Never, ever, 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 is that enough? One more?
Oh, one more time, yeah.
Ever have your incentive on display. So, like, I've seen people get those light-up signs where you slide the letters in and it says 10% off if you book today or something like that. That's basically the standard incentive that most people go for. And they put this light box off ever, Sarah, literally ever, never, ever, 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 ever. They put these light boxes up that say, 10% off if you book today, and they'll kind of like a shining beacon of, we are desperate for your booking. It's completely wrong. It builds the wrong impression from the off of who you are, what you stand for. So don't do it. So, in brief, get to know people, get to know their needs, their wants, and everything like that. Deliver your presentation, your sales pitch, then your price at the end. And once they've digested that price, then add the incentive on at the end. So basically what you're doing is you're building up the value in your presentation and in your sales pitch, which hopefully you've got down and you've got nailed. So you've got it up to a point. And basically, because you haven't mentioned price, and hopefully price isn't mentioned anywhere on any leaflets they can see around, in their head, they're going to think, oh, this is going to be this much. And this is a number going upwards. I'm hoping I'm making that clear.
Yeah, that makes really good.
Podcast,
yeah.
If you're listening to the podcast version of this, I'm raising my hand to roughly the height of my eyebrow. So they're going to think it's about eyebrow height in terms of price. It's a well-known scale. And then then they deliver. When you deliver the price, they will then make an assumption, or they'll make a belief of where that price sits. So if you say they think it's worth above eyebrow height, and then you tell them the cost is just below nose height, then this is a great scale I'm working on here. Then they will see that the value outweighs the cost, and it then seems very much worthwhile, like they're making an investment if they've shown an interest in it. Now, this is before you've mentioned the incentive. If you now mention the incentive that you are going to offer them whatever it might be, then all that happens is that value goes up, and it just makes it look like they're getting a better deal. The contra to that is the possibility that the value is there and the cost is there. Now, this is where the cost is just above what they think it's worth. Then you mention the incentive afterwards, then the value that can then hop above the cost. So it can be the one that tips them over the edge and gets them into the position where they may be interested in making a sale. Did I explain that well enough in terms of when?
I think so. And the key thing there is that the price doesn't change. So we're not talking about taking money off at all. This is not what an incentive is in our mind. Our idea of an incentive is to add value to the day. So and that's the point that we want to...
Yeah, why shouldn't you take money off?
So, let's say, for example, you charged £300 for a wedding for whatever it is that you did, whatever that might be. You take 10% off that, it's £270. That's a £30 difference. Do you think that £30 is really going to be the difference between someone booking you and not booking you? I feel like if they're going to pay 270, they're going to pay 300, and the same kind of applies across the board. If they're going to pay 2,000, they're going to pay. If they're going to pay 1,800, they're going to pay 2,000, and the numbers kind of scale up appropriately. So taking money off isn't going to be the difference between someone booking you and someone not booking you. The only time, I should point this out, the only time we say that this is perhaps not the case is if you work at the lower end of the market. So if you're working for weddings on a budget and like village hall weddings, those kind of things, then I feel like offering a discount is going to be the thing that is going to tip them over the edge, because those people are looking for a deal, looking for a bargain. The only thing we say is you almost wait for them to ask for the discount, because then you're almost being helpful rather than coming across as desperate if you frame it correctly. So that's just the point we wanted to make there. I don't feel like there's very many people in this group or who listen to the podcast or listen to the lives who are in that area, but we kind of wanted to make sure we mentioned that in case there was anyone who went to the lower end of the market, that perhaps offering a discount is the way to do that.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is it basically it just immediately takes the money off your top line, right? And therefore you're earning less money straight away, which seems rather counterintuitive as a thing to do. I think that it also, to a certain extent, can actually look like you have a lack of belief in how much you're charging, because you're saying this much. Oh no, this much. It should be 600, but I'll take £60 off, so it's 540, or something like that. That it just shows a lack of belief, because instantly you're just taking money off, which I don't see. It just doesn't make sense to us, and I don't think it works.
Go on.
I don't think it works.
It's also it's your first interaction with the client as well, and you're instantly going, well, I'm not worth this much. I'm devaluing myself almost instantaneously. So it's not a great first impression to be giving someone, I don't think.
And Sarah agrees.
Of course.
Because we're talking sense for once. We have a plan. We have a schedule. We even have notes.
We have, which is why we keep looking at our computers.
What's the next bit?
We are reading our notes. Yeah, exactly. Making sure we get this right, making sure we get all of the information, because we have got a lot we want to share in this. So,
making sure we make things clear, Jack. Isn't that right?
Oh, that was such a smooth transition. Clear. Your incentives should be clear, Chris. What we mean by clear is it should be customer focused, led by value, easy to explain, applicable, and ROI sustainable. You'll have no idea how proud Chris was when he came up with this.
Well,
he said
it's so good that Jack told me it was quite good. Now, it takes a lot for Jack to tell me that anything I ever do is even not bad. So for him to say quite good is quite something. So yeah, so your incentive should be clear. So just to explain exactly what this means. So first of all, it should be customer focused. That's your C. This means that any incentive has a primary goal of being beneficial to your customer, to your ideal client, because it's rather than something that you want to give away or something that you want to do, you want to be thinking about how what you're doing is going to be helping them. So the incentive should be beneficial to them rather than just beneficial to you. So that's the customer focused. Led by value. So what we're always talking about here when we're talking about incentives, as we've already explained, is not taking money off, because like for the numerous reasons we've already explained, we're talking about adding in extra value, because basically by adding something extra into a package as an incentive, it gives the appearance that you are giving a much larger discount, but you're actually keeping the price exactly the same. So for instance, if you're offering an additional service which you normally charge £400 for, but you're keeping the price the same, it's as if you are giving a £400 discount. But if that £400 package, extra doesn't cost you anything, and mine doesn't, it does just look like you're giving them a really hefty discount. And you'd never be able to offer them a £400 discount on your price. So that's what we mean by led by value. Next, we have easy to explain. So it should be easy to explain. I don't think I need to go into any more detail than that.
That was very easy to explain.
That was easy to explain. Applicable. So the incentive should be relevant to your sector of the wedding industry. So myself as a magician, if I offered free lipstick with every booking, it wouldn't make any sense. Whereas a makeup artist doing that, obviously would. And similarly, someone who does bridal hair offering a mind reading show, again, doesn't really make very much sense. It's a nice idea, but it doesn't really make sense. And the final point, it should be ROI sustainable. So if you're not sure what ROI means, it means return on investment. So if you're offering something extra as a booking incentive, then it's got to be cost effective. Now, for instance, so if my £400 mind reading show that I offer as an extra, if that was costing me £200 to do that, so I would essentially have to book that many more weddings to then make that sustainable. So you want something which is going to be in the long term, a sustainable thing, because you wouldn't want to be putting in loads and loads more effort, because essentially then you are just taking money out of your pocket. So that is what your incentives should be. They should be clear. So just to cover that again quickly, that's customer focused, led by value, easy to explain, applicable, and ROI sustainable.
Beautifully done, Chris. So this came up on a thread that we were running on the group a couple of days ago about booking incentives and asking if people use them, what their thoughts were on them. And some people came back and said, well, people book me without the incentives. I don't get any more people booking me because I have an incentive, so I don't run them. First and foremost is by having an incentive there, the worst case scenario is that you're adding extra value to the day or to that couple. So if your incentives are clear, as we've already discussed, then you're so proud of that.
It's great.
Then you are over delivering and taking a very small amount out of your profit margin that it doesn't really, or it shouldn't make a difference to your bottom line at the end of the day, really. So as a very rough, vague example, if you were charging £1,000 and your upsells cost you £40, it's relatively negligible within the price of your fee total. So that's kind of how you should be looking at it, is it should be a very small amount to add on and people are just getting these extra things as a nice little incentive. But that was Chris's point. My point kind of in rebuttal to that was, if you are saying that people are booking me with and without incentives, there's no difference, then my argument is your incentives aren't good enough. So,
or perhaps wrong is
or wrong. Okay,
is a slightly softer way of saying that.
Well, I'm you saw the thing that I wrote earlier. Yeah, I'm obviously in a controversial mood. So
yeah, look out for that post on the group on Thursday, guys.
It's coming out on Thursday. It's a good one. So if you're attending a wedding fair and you take 5 bookings with an incentive, and you attend another wedding fair and you take 5 bookings without an incentive, firstly, that's not really a fair comparison unless it's exactly the same wedding fair, because there are variations within that. But secondly, I would argue that your incentives need to be changed, because I will be damned if the fact you are offering incentives does not get more people to book you if you're offering the right ones. So you kind of need to look at it in the sense that if people are still booking you, you should probably see if changing your incentives is going to make a difference. I realised I kind of rambled a bit there and it didn't really make any sense. Did I get my point across?
I think that in a very long-winded way, you said, adopt our method of having incentives. Give it a go. If people are booking you anyway, then as long as your incentive is clear, and that the most important thing on that part of the clear with this would be the ROI sustainable part. If it's costing you 10, 20, 30 pounds, which should in theory for most wedding suppliers be relatively negligible in terms of the overall cost you're charging, then the worst case scenario is that you over deliver. A correct incentive is never going to put people off. It's never going to reduce your amount of bookings. I think that's the point. So it's worth trying, because 5 bookings at a wedding fair is great. With an incentive, that could be 8, that could be 9, that could be 10. you never know. So I have a go at it. Um, There also got raised in the group the idea that having an incentive is it pressure selling? And we all know what a hard sell feels like, looks like. Some of us have experienced that as a customer. Some of us have tried to deliver that as a thing. I went through a brief period where I adopted some hard selling tactics because I feel like within business you have to experiment with things, and I found very much that they weren't for me. They didn't fit my personality. They didn't fit my style. For some people, they will work, and for you know, by all means, go out and look for the people that do those people. That sort of Grant Cardone, Ty Lopez, that sort of people. And anyone else spring to mind?
Those are the two kind of big ones in terms of hard selling. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you want to look down that route, see if it works for you, then by all means. Um, we hear it a lot. If you're trying to incentivize something, then you're trying to put pressure on them. But I think that, as we mentioned earlier, it's about the time that you're mentioning it is one thing. So you want to deliver your sales presentation, get the value clear in their mind, mention the cost, and then mention the incentive afterwards. But if you're in a situation where you've delivered your sales pitch, you've delivered your presentation, you've delivered your price, and they've said, no thank you, or they're obviously not interested, whether it's something that's given away in their body language or whatever, and then they're almost turning away or whatever, or they just want to, you can tell the conversation, they want it to be over, and then you're then saying, oh, I'll give you 10% off, or I'll give you a free Lamborghini, or I'll probably go for that one.
I would go for that one if they
You
give
probably
me a
go for
free
that one.
Lambo.
Yeah, it's that is when it very, very much feels a lot like it's going to be pressure selling. So it's about the timing, what the offer is itself, and as well as just paying attention to what your customer. I mean, we say on the unit that we're going to be what we have on sale, will be on sale next week, that you have 2 ears, 1 mouth. Use them in that ratio. So you want to be listening to your customer, and if this is really obvious from listening to them, they are not interested. They are going to be not going to be interested, incentive or not. It's not your job as a salesperson is not to turn no's into yeses. Your job is to turn the people who are swaying on the middle of the fence and just giving the nudge to fall on the correct side from your point of view. That's
Definitely.
um,
Yeah, and I think that that's a really key point. So, take for example, it would be pressure selling, and it would both be pressure selling and seem desperate if someone hadn't got a venue, hadn't even looked at anything, was just kind of having a little wander around, and you started trying to pressure sell them, and you started to offer all these incentives if they booked you right now, despite not having a venue, having a date, having anything in mind at all. That would be pressure selling, and that would seem desperate if you're trying to close them right there and then, because those people are never going to book you in a million years. So sometimes the signs are obvious that you shouldn't be selling him to them, and you shouldn't be offering these incentives right now because they're not the right people or they're not at the right place. But sometimes it can be a little bit harder, and that sometimes just takes a little bit of practice to be able to get right, I think.
yeah, absolutely.
So that moves us on to talking about why does it make you look desperate offering an incentive? Because this came up again in that thread that we ran. We wanted to kind of see what everyone's objections were, what everyone's problems were, and we
And
thought we would try and overcome them as best we can.
and it's also come up in the comments as well so far in the thread on this live as well. So it's something that people I think
Exactly.
are wary of.
Yeah, and I totally understand that because I can see why people think it looks desperate, um, but I don't think it is. It depends on the way you've designed your sales pitch, really. If you look at if you buy a new car, has anyone ever in the history of ever paid list price for a car?
It just
No,
doesn't happen.
because you get all the incentives that they offer you, and it does has it ever seemed desperate? Even Mercedes have incentives running, and Bentley I know have incentives running, and Rolls-Royce maybe not so much, but the big companies as well as the kind of the smaller company, the Renaults and the Peugeots and those kind of things, all of the companies are running incentives to get people to buy from them. So it is relatively normal as long as you frame it in the right way, and that's why I think the timing is the most important thing with making it you look desperate or not look desperate. Um, so it should be a case of they are teetering on the edge of booking you. You can spot they're on the edge of booking you, and that incentive is the thing that's going to nudge them over. As Chris mentioned there, they're sitting on the fence, and then you go. Every car dealer Sarah's ever dealt with has definitely been desperate. Yeah, so some car dealers will be a bit like that. Yeah, you definitely need a Rolls Royce, Sarah. I can tell you they are very nice. Not that I drive one myself, but I've been in them. Obviously.
That's the weakest like name drop you've like ever.
I can give you bigger ones, but I'm not going to.
Good. I don't want to hear them.
So,
No, so if you think about DFS have constantly got a sale on. Are they desperate? Absolutely not. Their whole thing is high volume of sales, and the markup on them is like minimal. It's like if you think about Amazon Black Friday. Do you think Amazon are desperate for sales? No, absolutely not. No, it's it's that kind of thing. So yeah, it's
yeah, but the key difference between what we're talking about and what those guys do is that they're offering a discount. We're offering a value add, so it's a different type of incentive. So it looks even less desperate, I feel, because obviously Amazon doesn't need the money, so they're able to offer that. They just offer the discount. But we, Sarah says she's heckling away. We
no,
don't
I
mind.
like
We're
it.
happy to
We
do.
like
Yeah,
it.
we
We
like the
encourage it.
interaction.
We encourage
We
it.
do, we do. So yeah, the key difference is that we're offering a value add rather than a discount on the price. So it's coming at it from a different angle, albeit the same theory.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the good car salespeople, the ones that aren't sleazy and aren't standing in the way of the door, whatever, they are the sort of people who are going to be there offering you the 3 years worth of services, or going to offer to pay for your first year's insurance and the things like that. And it's those kind of extras which you think, oh, well, that means I don't have to get that sorted. That means I don't have to do that. That means I don't have to do that, and it solves problems for you. And that's the sort of incentives which are going to work for most businesses, but particularly within the wedding industry itself. So
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I bought a new car not that long ago, about 6 months ago, 7 months ago now, and I got a Mercedes in the end, and they didn't offer a massive discount on the price, but now you've mentioned it, they offered all of those things. All of those things were included, so it was a massive value add rather than a drop in price. So they had a lower drop in price than Audi, for example. Audi bought a massive reduction on the price, but they didn't add anything extra in. So Mercedes had less money coming off, but they had more things included as an extra, which had a higher perceived value.
I think we've covered everything we want to cover in terms of incentives. So if anyone wants to heckle or ask any questions, now is the time to do so before we move on to the next bit we want to be talking about. Or if anyone has any
Yeah,
questions with problems going on in their business outside of wedding fairs or anything like that, then feel free to ask. We'll probably come back to those questions. But if you're thinking, I want to ask this or that or the other, then please feel free to.
yeah. So I want to ask you a question, Chris, as Sarah specifically has asked us, if you were offering a value add incentive as a photographer, what do you think you might include? Just one example would be fine.
Just some, I think a few examples. Now, I want to be absolutely plain on this, that we are magicians. So
Yeah, we're not photographers.
we're not photographers, and we're not makeup artists, and we're not bridal hair, and we're not whatever. So our examples may be completely and utterly off because we don't know your sector of the industry. We don't know how much things are going to cost you. But my immediate thought when it comes to something like photography is that they're going to pay for the photography, they're going to pay for the albums, whatever. So something like a canvas print of one of their favorite shot. So you can get high quality canvas printing for kind of £30 to £50, I think, something like that, or or printed on board or something like that. So something which is going to then become a centerpiece of their home, that could be offered as a incentive, something along the lines of that, and then just spinning off of that point. Although that then takes £50 off of whatever it is that you're doing, it means that if they go for it and they put it up in their home, everyone that comes to the house is going to go, "That's such a beautiful photo. Who took that?" And it can then potentially lead to further business. Sarah says, we used to do free engagement shoot, but found it reduced the value of that alone, and we had 2 people ask to swap it for something else that did cost us money, so we scrapped that. Yeah, I would, as if I was a photographer, I would not include engagement shoots, because that is a massive drain on your time, because not only have you got to arrange a suitable time with the couple, it's the time to then do that shoot, which is, I'm assuming, going to take 2 to 3 hours. It's then the time to edit those photos afterwards, which I'm assuming is going to be at least another hour. And photographers do enough hours as it is without chucking in that as well. Maybe a discounted engagement shoot would be an option, but I'd rather go down the physical thing, whether that be prints, whether that be a canvas print or something along the lines of that.
Yeah, I think so. Ariane has said a framed picture for £50 would be perhaps a little bit hard to find, but we're talking more about canvas. A canvas is a lot cheaper, I tend to see. I don't buy a lot of pictures personally, but I think canvas is cheaper than a framed picture, and so you can get a bigger picture for the same price, and it'll become a hallmark of the home, hopefully.
Yeah. So, but like I said, we don't know the cost of things outside of our, well, to a degree we do, but I think that it's not the sort of thing that often just clicks instantly into your head. So what I'd like to think is that what we've been saying within this training, is that it's gonna set a ball rolling down the hill in your head, and that's going to move around, it's going to go around, and then eventually you're going to come up with an idea and go, yes, that's actually going to work perfectly. So yeah, Sarah says we do give a box of prints. Oh, sorry, it just jumped off the screen. On production of USB, but that's a surprise gift / increase of customer experience. What do you think about that as a surprise?
Not a huge fan. I don't feel like that's going to make a big difference.
No,
As a surprise,
they're
it's a
saying that
nice.
they're saying that they're doing that anyway. I think that's what Sarah's saying, that they already
So,
do.
okay, sorry, I think I might have misread it. I thought you were just producing them with the USB, and I thought that was kind of standard within the industry. I think it's quite a nice little thing. I feel like that is something I would personally be saying is worth X number of pounds. If you book today or you book in the next 7 days, you get included in your price,
Yeah.
because it's something you're doing anyway. And it kind of crosses that, to a certain extent, crosses that morality line. Where do you morally stand on that? I personally would say that at the wedding fair, say, if you book within 7 days of this, then we'll include this as well, despite the fact you already include it anyway. Personally, but
And that
you
can
may be
actually
against
be
that.
a great way of finding the perfect upsell, is sell them something that you're doing anyway. Because I
Yeah,
think as wedding suppliers, you end up doing a lot of things outside of what the customer realises you're doing anyway. So it's a great thing to just go, that thing that takes me like 2 hours, and I never mention it to any of my customers. How about if that was my book within a certain amount of time, and I'll do that, whatever
yeah,
that might be. But like I said, we don't know every sector of the wedding industry, but we're hoping that what we're talking about here is going to. Sarah says that's not a bad shout. You see, that's
there you
that's
go.
that's
We've
what we're.
tried.
So if like I said, we have been actually working from notes. If you'd like these, I've referred to them as lecture notes, which I realise is a slight aggrandization. Is that a word? Of them?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's massive. It's yeah. You might be over egging it a bit with lecture notes. It's the notes we've read and used to riff off for this presentation.
Yeah, but I think that they're, obviously we've gone off on some tangents at times. if you want to get those notes sent to you for free, head over to Jack. You set it up.
freeweddingtraining.co.uk.
freeweddingtraining.co.uk. That will redirect you to a page to chuck in your name and email address, and the notes will be sent straight across to you. Now, there's a reason why we are talking about wedding fairs in particular, Jack, because you've been very busy.
I have, yeah. I just want to very quickly, we will come back to your point, Steve Gore. You have made a question. We will come back to it a little bit later on. We just want to go through this a little bit first. Yes, we have been putting together our next unit, which is all about wedding fairs. It's called Connect, Converse, Convert, Your Guide to Wedding Fair Success. How did I get that wrong?
You said it too many times.
I've said it so many times. Uh, um, so this is a full hour and 40 minutes, isn't it? This training, I think.
It's a long time.
Full of content about how to succeed at wedding fairs. I'm going to kind of run you through some of the titles and what we go through during this course. I'm not going to go through it obviously now, but we talk about how to find the right wedding fairs, which I think is an extremely important thing to be able to do, because if you don't find the right wedding fairs, you won't be able to find the right people to book them and then to book you. So you're wasting your time and your money and your effort and your energy, which are all things that you kind of need. And then the next thing we brought into stand positioning, to make sure your stand is in the right place at the wedding fair. Most people don't even realise you can ask to be in certain positions. It's very much a case if you don't ask, you don't get. So make sure you ask and you get in the positions that we talk about in this live training, or in this training, sorry. We've got stand appearance, how your stand should look to make sure that it stands out, it is different, and it is something that people are going to come over, recognise who you are, what you do, and come and talk to you and want to book you because of it. We talk about how you can go ahead and approach people and engage in conversation in the first instance. We talk about information gathering, so getting all the right information, using, as we said, your eyes, your ears and your mouth in the right proportions. 2 ears, 1 mouth, use them that way. We talk about your actual presentation that you should be using, you give about what it is that you do, your presentation of your skills, your service, your product, whatever it is that you do. Moving into your sales pitch, where you have your chance to talk to the couples about what it is that you do, your different packages, why you should be talking about just one particular package, and how you find out which package you should be talking to the people about. We talk about the questions that may come up after the sales pitch has gone on. Talk about how to close people and how closing doesn't always mean getting people's money at a wedding fair, because there are so many different people at so many different stages that it's impossible to close everybody with a sale. Sometimes you have to go for something else, and we talk about that and how to manage that. How to take payments if you are taking money on the day, the best way, most efficient ways to do that. And the most professional ways to do it as well. And then finally, we also talk about the follow-up. So what to do after the wedding fair that makes more people book you after the date. So those are the topics of conversation that go on in that hour and 40-minute long training on wedding fair success. Excuse me. Do you want to add anything to that, Chris?
There's a long sentence. You probably should have taken some more breaths during it.
Yeah.
Not really much to add because you've said everything. So yeah, that is as a brand new unit that is coming. That is being launched next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday, yeah.
Next Wednesday. So that is Wednesday the 18th.
Yeah. I honestly have no idea. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, 18th. Yes.
I've got a wedding on the Thursday, which is the 19th. So it's the 8th. Yeah, that's going to be launched on Wednesday the 18th of September. So the price of that is going to be £67 if you're interested in that. And then please keep an eye on the group. You can go to weddingandtruewisdom.co.uk and join our mailing list, and you'll be made aware the moment that becomes available. But potentially you're thinking that you don't want to pay that much money. And potentially, now this is a little bit far-fetched, potentially you're thinking that me and Jack perhaps might just know what we're talking about and feel like we have more to offer you outside of just that. So if that was the case, what else can we offer people, Jack?
Well, we've got, and most of you will be aware of this by now, but we have got Wild membership. We're currently in pre-registration for it. It's your chance to sign up to find out the moment that Wild membership becomes available. It's completely free to find out. There's no obligation to actually end up booking us, or sorry, not booking us, to subscribing and becoming a member of Wild, but it's your chance to find out exactly everything that you need to know about it. There are 3 levels to Wild membership. We've got the zebras, we've got the giraffes, and we've got the lions. Wild, for those of you who don't know, is Wedding Industry Learning and Development, and that is our monthly membership course. And in every single level of those, you will receive every monthly training from this point on that come out. So that will include Wedding Fair Success, Connect, Convert. So that's included in the zebras, the giraffes, and the lions. Do you want to carry on, Chris? Because I
Yeah,
know I've talked a
absolutely.
lot.
So yeah, if you want to go into the bottom level, which if one thing Jack didn't mention, that if you do pre-register, then you will be entitled to a 20% discount on the membership fee for life. As long as your account remains active, you get 20% off. So at the bottom level, we have the zebras. So with the zebras, what you will get is each new unit as it comes out. So you will get, if you sign up, you will get the wedding fair unit, and the following month, I'm taking the lead and doing a unit all about wedding blogging, because I have a lot of success with my wedding blog, so how to write successful wedding blogs that people will actually read. And then the unit following that will be, Jack will be taking the lead on wedding sales mind map. So mapping out every possible eventuality of a conversation which you can have with someone who you are trying to sell to. So with at the bottom level of that, you will have each new unit as it becomes available. If you wanted to go up to the next level, that is our giraffes. Now you will get exactly the same. You'll get every new unit as it comes out, but you'll also automatically receive access to every bit of content we've ever released before. So that's our 8-week course. So there's, how many hours of content in that? Over 10? Over 12?
Yeah, 12, something like that.
So over 12 hours content on how to run a wedding business. You'll receive website audits, email audits. You'll receive Jack's high converting wedding email series, and basically every bit of content we've ever released, that is included if you go for the giraffes level. And then at the very top of the pack is the king of the jungle, of course, the lions. Now the lions is limited to just 12 spaces. Now, with the lions, this is our pride. These are the people who we really want to work with very, very closely. So you'll get everything that you'll get within the giraffes package, but on top of that, you'll also get a monthly, weekly,
Yeah,
monthly, isn't
monthly.
it? Yeah, you have a monthly phone call with us. That's a two-on-one training, two-on-one coaching session, essentially. So we'll sit down on Skype at a mutually convenient time. We talk to you about your business, about what's going on, where you're struggling, where you're succeeding, and we will give you advice on how to overcome these obstacles and grow your business to the point where you want it to be at. And there's a few other freebies and bits thrown in the other packages as well. If you head to weddingindustrywsdom.co.uk/membership, not membership, membership-registration, Jack has just posted a link for that below. You can find out all of the details of that. The one thing that isn't on there at the moment is the prices, which we are revealing now. Yes, Jack?
We will be, yes.
Yes. So if you wanted to be a... which order should we do it in? This is always an interesting thing.
I always prefer to go lions down to zebras.
Okay, so if you wanted to be a lion, one of the elite, there's only 12 spots for this, then normally it would be £150 per month. But if you pre-register, then you'll automatically receive the 20% discount for life. So that would just be £120 per month. And that is a 12-month commitment on that one, because we don't want people coming into the Pride and then leaving again, because we want to work with people to make them grow their businesses properly. Next down from that, you have our giraffes. So giraffe membership is normally going to be £60, but like I said, with the 20% discount, that's going to be £48 per month for life. Gives you access to all of our content ever and all of our content for the future as well. And then on the lowest level of, if you just want the units as they're coming out, the new ones, then you can choose to be a zebra. Now that is normally going to be £40 per month, but with the 20% discount, that takes it down to £32 a month. So, you could potentially just, yes, 32.
£32.
I know, it's a bit.
I can't believe I agreed to that.
Yeah, I can't believe you did either. So that is actually less than half the price of the wedding fair unit just by itself. So if you wanted that, then the best way to proceed would probably just be to sign up to the membership. There, I just want to be aware that on the zebra and the giraffe level, there is no, your commitment is month by month. So it's a cancel anytime thing. But once you've cancelled it, you will no longer have access to the content. It will be gone. Just so you're aware of that.
Yes.
Anything I haven't mentioned?
No, I don't think so. I think it is really key to point out that it is the individual units will be £67 if you were to buy them on the go, on ad hoc as you wanted them, or you can pay less than half price and get every single one every single month. I feel like it's a bit of a no-brainer, really. So you can head over to weddingindustrywisdom.co.uk/membership registration, and all the information is there. That does close tomorrow at midnight. That is Tuesday the 10th at midnight. 10th of
Yeah.
September. So if you do miss that, then unfortunately you will not be eligible to the 20% discount, nor will you get pre-registration. And the thing is, we don't know when after that. We don't know when we're reopening registration. So
It
you
hasn't.
might
It
as well
hasn't
sign
been
up.
discussed. We've had a lot of people register their interest in it. The sign up isn't actually available, so we don't know how many people are actually going to join. But we want it to be um, manageable. So we're not
This is
actually.
almost our beta, isn't it? It's
Yeah, this
kind
is
of our
also
beta at the
it's almost our
moment.
bid. So we don't actually know if and when we are going to open up. But the one thing we do know is that we won't be offering a 20% discount on the future fees because we already think it's probably too cheap with the discount.
We
So
want to reward those who are fast laners and are action takers and really want to improve their businesses. So those who want to do that get the pre-registration discount. No one else will ever get that ever again, ever.
ever, literally
So
ever.
I want to run back to Steve Gore's question. I
Yep.
saw some other comments we're running through, but I'm going to go back to Steve Gore's question. If you saw any other questions coming in, then we'll go to those as well as they come through. But Steve asked what we find is the best ROI, return on investment for advertising, whether that's Facebook ads, SEO, wedding fairs, etc., etc., etc. Have you got anything you want to say on this, Chris, before I say what I want to say?
I'm not sure if you're going to say exactly the same thing as me, so I was going to say my bit because
Go
that's
for it.
what. So I think it is a mistake to think that you can just throw your eggs in the basket of saying, oh, my thing is SEO, or my thing is Facebook ads, or my thing is wedding fairs. I think that you need to be having a much more holistic approach to things. So I pay for wedding fairs, I pay for SEO, and I pay for, which ones didn't I haven't I said? I'm on codeine, I can't remember.
Facebook ads,
Facebook ads, wedding fairs, and no, I've forgotten the third one again.
SEO.
SEO. Yes, I pay for all of those things. I have Facebook ads redirecting people to my blogs and stuff like that because I think that you kind of want to be everywhere you can reasonably be expected to be. Now, I don't pay for Google ads because I rank pretty well with my SEO organically, and also I am not good at doing it, and it's just a waste of my money. But I think that you want to be kind of everywhere. So when I attend wedding fairs, I will frequently have people coming up to me saying, "Oh, you're the blog guy." So that means that then when they see me at a wedding fair, it is then not their first interaction with me because they've already spent 4 or 5 minutes reading a blog that I've written that's already helped them or something. Or, I've got a book on how to be stress-free throughout your wedding planning process. That's on Kindle, paperback, and Audible. So I'm across the board there as well. So I don't think you can say this is the thing. I think you've got to, spread yourself as reasonably as you think you can on the things that you can do well, and probably avoid the things that you can't do well. And if you can't do any of them well, then you're going to have to pay someone else to do it, or pay to have some training to learn how to do it yourself. Um, Sorry for the ramble.
You were, no, it's exactly what I was going to say. The only thing I want to add on to that is a saying that a very good friend of mine and Chris's once told me, not that long ago actually. Friend Ken, Steve, you'll know him as well, Ken Dine. He said that if something's not working for you in terms of advertising or in terms of anything, then you want to be looking at changing the tactics, not the strategy. Because the thing is, the strategy works. So you know that Facebook ads work because they work for other people. You know that Google ads work for other people, so they should work for you. So it's not a case of Google ads don't work or wedding fairs don't work. It's a case of the way you've approached it that particular time hasn't worked. So you need to change the tactic you used on Google ads, or you need to change the tactic you used on Facebook ads in order to generate that ROI that you're after. So as Chris said, it's very hard to pin it down to one particular thing. I can't say, I know that Facebook ads work, so I'm going to put all of my money into Facebook ads, because they may help, but you don't know. People might have seen you at a wedding fair first, and then visited your website, left your website, and then been retargeted with a Facebook ad and gone, oh, let's read this blog, and then eventually gone and inquired with you. So you don't know which one was the tipping point. So you kind of need to be everywhere, because the more places you are, the more you're going to be seen, and the more people are going to go, well, he's everywhere, he must be good. Like, if he's everywhere, I definitely need to book him.
Yeah, I mean, just speaking very anecdotally, I have had someone before make an inquiry, and then I followed up with a phone call, as is my that's my kind of sales process. And her words, not verbatim, but pretty much were, I kept seeing you everywhere, so I thought I should probably make an inquiry with you to find out more. Um, so
Did they book?
they did. So it's
There you go.
I mean, that's entirely anecdotal, but yeah, it's you could have success by just going for one thing, but I don't know why you would.
Yeah, I mean, I've had, again, anecdotally, so Chris and I also run another podcast that isn't this one, that is for brides and grooms, called Yes to I Do, which we're about to start recording the next season of. I've just said that, so now that's happening. Because we don't spend enough time talking to each other.
Christ.
And I've had someone come up to me at a wedding fair, and we're having a conversation, and all of a sudden she went, I recognise your voice. Are you the guy from the wedding podcast? And I was like, yeah, that's me. And she ended up booking me. So I can't say that whether it was the fact whether she would book me because I was at the wedding fair anyway, or if the fact that I ran the podcast also tipped it over the edge. So it's hard to say that which one of those was the defining factor for her.
Yeah.
But those two together helped convince her that booking me was a good idea. So to say that one particular thing is your area of expertise is, I think, a foolish thing to do.
Yeah, I've also had someone come up to me at a wedding fair and say, "Oh my God, I just bought your book," which was just,
There you go.
and just, oh, can you? And then, of course, I was booked for that date already. So,
Of course.
of course, I was, because yeah, I mean, I'm not that lucky. But I think we've probably covered that as reasonably as we can be expected to. Steve says, "Good advice, thank you." So if Steve's happy, then I'm happy. Is there any more questions for anyone? We have quite a few people watching live. So any questions about the training that we just gave? Any questions about wedding fairs in general? Any questions about the Wild membership, which pre-registration closes for tomorrow?
I'm slightly
at
concerned
midnight?
because Damien Sir's just joined. That's never a good sign.
It's a
That
wonderful
never
sign.
ends very well.
Is it-
Yeah, if you guys have got any questions, do drop them in the comments below. We will be live for the next couple of minutes before we head off, as it's usually around an hour long, but we will be here as long as you want us to be, answering your questions, anything at all, any topic about, ideally about weddings.
I can tell,
but, you know,
I can just pretty much tell that right now Damien is typing a question which is not going to be related to weddings in any way, shape, or form.
it's possible.
It's possible, we don't know. But, yeah. Any questions for anyone? About
If not,
anything?
we will leave it here. Happy to do that.
I felt, well, how many people have you did it say are watching live to you?
11.
11, you see. See, it lies to me. Mine says 6. It's like,
We know, I mean, there could be 500. We genuinely have no idea. This is not the most reliable
no. Well,
viewer
clearly not.
counter.
Clearly not, as far as ours are 5 different. I feel mine should be the accurate one, as I was the one who started the live, but you never know. Yeah. So, any other questions from anyone? Please put them in the comments. We'll give you a couple more minutes. Anything that springs. Oh, should I mention the thing that I thought of, mentioned to you earlier about wedding fair incentives?
I can't remember what it was, so yeah, please do.
Ariane's got 7 people watching. I've got 7 now. Ricky Locke says, "Hey guys, keep up the great work. Loving what you were doing. If you love what we're doing, then I recommend you sign up to Wild membership, Ricky. Give us some of your money." I think you're already aware of that, but yeah, Wild membership can be found at weddingsthroughwisdom.co.uk/membership-registration. Yeah, now this is something which I've never seen done. I'm wondering how many precursors I can put into this. Um,
Right, yeah. Slightly
I,
concerned about what you're about to do.
you know what it is. Your brain's just being rubbish. I've
Yeah.
never seen it done. I've never done it myself, and I have no idea whether it would work or not. Those are
Nice
my kind of
caveats.
those are my caveats out of the way. Um, but if you were really struggling and you could not think of a single idea of a booking incentive, then I had the
Oh,
idea.
yes, I now know what you're talking
Now
about.
you know what I'm talking about. I had the idea that you could offer people free wedding essential baskets. Now, if you are a wedding supplier who attends weddings on the day, then you'll probably be well aware that within if it's an kind of exclusive use venue, then there are baskets which have deodorant and I've run out of things already. Mints, breath mints, and plasters, and paracetamol, and has a basket of things that guests might need at a wedding day. So you could probably put something together like that for £20, and then one for the female one as well, which may cost more because it's probably going to have all of those things, and then maybe like sanitary products as well, something like that. So maybe a little bit more expensive on that one, but you could have two baskets which you could put together for 45, 50 quid, something like that. So if you couldn't think of anything else, then you could do that. I mean, like I said, those caveats came in because I've never seen it done. I've never done it myself. I don't know if it would work, but just an idea to throw out there. Maybe it will spark something off in your imagination to do something else. But I just thought it was an interesting thing to mention. So,
It's worth mentioning. It's a nice idea. Ricky, I feel like I have to just say this because he has bought the highly converting email course from me, which he says is awesome and it is highly recommended from Ricky. So, and Ricky, I feel like Ricky's a very trustworthy person. I don't know why. I just get this sense from him that he is very trustworthy, and I would believe anything he says.
how much did he pay you to put that comment on there? No, no,
I didn't pay him
I'm just
anything.
going to put Ricky on the spot here for a second. Ricky, have you actually had success? Have you actually got implemented Jack's strategy with the email follow-up series and have had people book as a result of it? Just a simple yes or no. Well, he says I am. No, I'm guessing that
He is
means
trustworthy. That's,
obviously I am trustworthy.
there's
So
a slight delay there.
there's a delay here. So we're going to see if he is actually implementing it. He can. Although it's a product which is on our website, it would just be hilariously funny if he does say no now.
There you go, three.
And if I'm not mistaken, how much is that now? Your
£12, I think.
£12. Yeah. Jack has a wedding email follow-up series, which is £12. It's copy and paste emails, just fill the blanks. Yeah, like Ricky spent what £12 on it, and he's got 3 bookings confirmed.
I think he spent £7 on it when he had it on offer. I think, but I don't remember.
Yeah, we've had it on the release offer. So from day 3 of the email. So
There you
th-
go.
there you go.
I just wanted to make a very quick point. I don't know why we haven't done this sooner. If you go to www.wildmembership.co.uk, it will send you straight through to the pre-registration page. I've literally just set that up now. It just came to me.
That's news to me.
So there you
I
go
like how
for that.
professional we've seen when you just kind of completely usurp me with things you're setting up. But yes, apparently, if you head to wildmembership.co.uk, it takes you straight through to the pre-registration page.
It should do. Well, it's setting it up at the moment, but it'll be with you in a minute. So yeah, Ricky says it's highly worth the small investment. You can find that on weddingindustry.co.uk in the courses section. You will find all of that information there.
And of course, if you didn't want to buy it, if you signed up for Giraffe membership and above, you'd get it for free with your
Get it for
membership
free.
fee.
You get it included.
Get it
That
included.
is true.
And Ricky, you don't get your money back if you do become a member. Sorry, it's not how it works.
Ricky says the language is clear. Oh, I like this. I like Ricky a lot. He says, I don't know what this is,
This
but
has been copied and pasted. Like this has been sent from Jack to Rick. So Ricky, post this, mate.
the language is clear, concise, and I changed my booking response to a similar approach, which details about a mention of arranging a call. I found it very responsive and prompted potential customers to email me a time, which was great to call. So there you go. What can I say other than Ricky? We love it. We love that you're an action taker. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Is
I think
people
that's the
will.
most annoying thing for both of us. I think we've both dealt with people in the past. I mean, one of the reasons why wedding industry wisdom came about was because we both of us would frequently have people approach us and say, "I have this problem in my business. I have this going on," and they would come to us asking for advice, and then we'd take time out and just go, "Oh, just I'd recommend doing X, Y, or Z." And then perhaps 2 months later down the line, they say, "I'm still having problem with this." And then we'd say, "Have you done X, Y, or Z?" I'm like, "Oh, no." Well, definition of insanity.
Is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
Correct.
Ricky wants his £50 sent in the post. I put it in the post earlier in one of those window envelopes so that everyone knows what's inside it to make sure everyone knows it gets there safely to you.
Yeah, that's nice and safe. I'm sure that'll be arriving in the next few days.
Yeah, so wildmembership.co.uk is now live and active and ready to go, so you will be sent straight through to the membership registration page. I don't know why we didn't do that 3 weeks ago, but there we go. We've done it now.
Because we have our best ideas about 5 seconds too late most of the time.
It's so true.
And of course, if you wanted to pick up the inverted commas lecture notes from our training, then they can be found at freeweddingtraining.co.uk. So
Yes, I
there you
don't
go.
think we've got a lot else to add. We've given people
Nothing
some
else to
time to
add.
ask questions if they had any. We shall sign off here. Thank you so much for joining us. As we said, all of the links and stuff we've spoken about many times throughout this. If you've enjoyed this podcast, this recording about wedding fair training, then do let us know, post in the group, and just let us know what you liked about it, what you thought was good, and make sure you download the notes at freeweddingtraining.co.uk, and we'll be back next week with a new live.
Just to be absolutely plain on this, just because I want to be absolutely sure that people know, there's a few people still watching. You will not be able to register to be a member of Wild if you do not pre-register before midnight tomorrow night. After that, it is literally closing. It's not like, oh, it's going to close. It literally will be
Oh, it
closing.
actually is.
It
Yeah.
actually is
There's a
closing.
timer and everything.
There's a
There's a
timer.
timer.
There's a timer and everything. So you have nothing to lose by pre-registering and 20% off to gain by doing so. So please check it out. Yeah, look forward to speaking to you again for a standard Q&A. I think we're going to be doing live training monthly now.
Yeah, every month we're going to be doing this.
Yeah, do live training monthly, and we will still be doing our standard Q&A on a weekly basis. So if you have anything you'd like us to talk about in particular, then let us know, and we will talk about that. So
Sarah has used this as procrastination time from actually editing her current wedding, and she's not sure whether she should get back to it or watch Dark Crystal, which she recommends. I don't know what that is, so I will be Googling that and trying to find out. Is it good?
Oh, I forget how young you are.
I know, but
like the Dark Crystal is like a Jim. Have you seen Labyrinth?
Yeah, I've seen that. So, yeah, I know Jim Henson is.
Yeah, so it's a Jim Henson like of the Labyrinth
Oh, it's
era.
that right? Okay, so it's Labyrinth.
So it's an absolute classic, and yeah, and now there's a series which I haven't watched yet, but I believe it's a follow up.
Right. Okay.
Or it may be the film rehashed. I don't know. Sarah Davis says
it's the best thing ever.
Best thing ever. That is some claim.
Is it better than sliced bread? Steve Gore's got socks older than I am.
No, he is actually older than he looks. Yeah, he even started shaving recently.
I did, yeah.
Yeah,
that's true. There we go. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back next week with another fun Q&A session to answer all your questions.
Hang on a minute. Sarah's just said that bread is grim. unless it's sourdough.
Oh, Sarah, we liked you for a minute. And now it's all just gone
Well,
horribly. It's gone Pete Tong, isn't it?
there's two things I need to say. Number one is that I'm not currently eating bread because I've started a ketogenic diet, so I can't eat bread. But number two, French stick. Who doesn't like French stick with too much Lurpak? I mean,
Sourdough. So sourdough is my preferred bread, and that's what I keep in the house, which makes me sound incredibly pretentious. Um,
you are incredibly pretentious.
but that's just who I am as a person, so I'm happy with that.
You casually mentioned how you've been in a Rolls Royce earlier.
More than once, but I don't like to talk about it. I could talk about the context if you want, but I'm not going to because it
No,
makes it sound even worse.
Is it Waitrose sourdough?
Um, it isn't, but that's only because Tesco is significantly closer, because I live in the sticks, I live in the middle of nowhere. So Tesco is significantly closer than Waitrose.
The little one is insane, apparently. I'm not sure.
I don't know what a little is.
As far as Jack's concerned, Lidl is a spelling mistake. Jack probably thinks he meant little because he's posh like that. But there we go. I'm.
Well,
It's
fun while
over.
it lasted.
I, I get the feeling that Sarah perhaps still likes me, but I don't think she likes you at all now, Jack.
I will give little. I don't know where our nearest. I don't even know where our nearest little is, but I will find out where it is, and I will go to it, and I will get it sourdough just to give it a go.
Is that a promise?
That is a promise. I will come on next week.
Yeah.
Next week, I will have a sourdough packet or box or whatever it comes in from Lidl. I don't know what it's
Box?
going to come in. I don't know what Lidl
Why would bread
serves
come in a
stuff in.
box?
Oh, I need to. We need to stop doing this, Chris. We need to go.
Right, no,
Oh no.
right. If you don't come on next week's live with little sourdough, then I don't know.
That's the end of this. That's the end of wedding industry wisdom,
It's
isn't
the
it?
end of what it. No, our profit split is no longer going to be 50-50. It's going to
You
go
heard it
60.
here
It's going to go
first.
60-40 as a punishment to you.
Sarah's
Well,
going to be
thank
here,
you.
so I will make sure that I
Yeah.
have little sourdough bread. I may
Well,
even get it
tune.
tomorrow, and I may post it in the group just so you can prove that it's there.
Yeah. Well, I think that we couldn't think of any better way to end it. So if you want to find out whether Jack actually brings little sourdough to next week's episode, then tune in next week on Monday at 7 p.m. It's been a pleasure. Sarah, you have been an absolute delight. I wouldn't even dream. I endorse heckling because it gives us a chance to show that we know what we're talking about,
True.
and we normally fail. But there we go. There's an incentive she's into. Boom. Perfect. Thanks for joining us, everyone, and we'll see you again next time.
Bye.